Hi, Rich Lieberman here on the Friday Bay Area Media Pulse. I'm deliberately doing pauses because I've been up early and had way too much coffee, but that's all right. It's going to be a hot weekend, or at least around the Bay Area. I'm sure the inland valley, so to speak, are used to this kind of thing, even though we've had somewhat of a cold summer thus far, but that's the Bay Area. Boy, I'm going off on a tangent here, but I want to talk about something that sadly, I knew was going to take place, but I have to call out, and I will call out, and I'm not looking for any kind of adulation over this, more acknowledgement, but that's not going to happen. And that's not why I'm here. I'm here to point out the absolute garbage that is foisted upon you guys, and to let you know that I'm not going to just sit back quietly and let it take place without calling it out. And it should be called out. Now, look, outside lands, big to do, newsworthy, absolutely. Big concert for the next 3 days in Golden Gate Park. So here's my deal and why I shake my head and still continue to be amazed by the Lemmings, as I refer to them, the amateur hour actors called San Francisco media, who should know better, but regrettably don't bat an eye. Just go along with all the others and all the other lemmings because it's just part of our little process here. Big to do, absolutely. It's been going on now for 17 years, almost 2 decades. Is it legit news? I just said it is. Of course it is. But the constant reminders and the live shots, and even when there's nothing going on, like there is right now, the big preview before the first band. And by the way, as somebody who likes popular music and jazz and classical and piano and pop music and all forms of music, I don't really care for crowds, but that's another story. This is something to which is a great big event, great acknowledgement of the San Francisco music scene. And it's in Golden Gate Park. And I keep repeating this. It bears news coverage. Of course it does. But to the extent that the type of repetitive coverage that it gets, even when there's nothing to report, like right now, and they have live shots and more live shots and interviewing people and that really do not need to be interviewed, and trying to not just cover the news, but making news up yourself when there is no news. Live shots. Do you realize the amount of manpower that they've poured into this? And I'm talking now not just the concert promoters, which could be worthy of an actual news account. They don't talk about that. They end up doing what they do best. They act not almost, they act as a conduit to the actual promoter. Another Planet Entertainment they ought to give an assist to the media here for helping them promote the concert. Really. And they can keep promoting and promoting and promoting and live shot of people who frankly look like yahoos who spent the night and are can't wait to be the first in line. You're always going to have those kind of people, but it's just repetition, especially when as I said, there's nothing going on. They're doing these back and forths. It's like, we have nothing to cover. We can't look, God forbid, and try to create our own storylines, which would be something, all right, halfway decent. At least it would show some degree of ingenuity and not act as basically a side promoter of a concert and this kind of oh boy, we're going to be here and we're going to interview people and we're just going to drum up outside lands. They don't need to be assisted. They already sold out this concert and they're going to make a lot of money, which is good. They're right to. And all the food promoters and the beer and wine promoters and the cocktails and all that. Do they talk about they being the Lemmings, the various San Francisco media, who should be ashamed of themselves, really, but they're not going to because, again, folks, it's a pack mentality. That's what really annoys me. It's like this, well, geez, such and such is doing live reports. Let's do live reports. And the other stations, oh, well, such and such is doing more live reports. Let's do more live reports. I'm not a bah humbug to covering news. I've said it. It's legitimate news. But the amount of coverage and this pack mentality of wanting to be there to do something and just to kind of assist in the frivolity, it becomes overkill, absolute overkill. People get tired of it. There are a lot of people, frankly, you know what? You don't hear about this, that live near Golden Gate Park, residents. They get out of town. They don't want to be around there. They live nearby. And while it's a minor, somewhat inconvenience to their lives, the fact is they live near the concert site. I understand the frustration, the amount of grief and anxiety and all that because they have to leave their houses. And a lot of them take off for the entire weekend. They don't want to be around there and seeing some of the side effects of mass amounts of people near their environment, near where they actually live. People urinating, pissing in the ground, public drunkenness, all that kind of negative crap. I realize that's negative. I realize saying that is not part of the pack mentality. We're going to talk about outside lands ad nauseum. But it becomes just on and on and on. They don't interview these people who live nearby, talk to the people who, and again, look, I realize, and I don't even live around there, it's a minor inconvenience, one time a year. And you might say, oh, bah humbug, and those people don't know positivity. And yeah, well, you live around that area where you live, and it's Golden Gate Park. Granted, it's a public gathering spot anyway, but not 150,000 people virtually for 3 days. And yeah, you see people pissing on your lawn and people park cars and all that. You don't see a lot of stories involving that. You see a lot of live shots and these really, frankly, amateur hour reporters who have nothing better to do than to talk about outside lands, outside lands, outside lands, outside lands, without, God forbid, trying to think of an actual news story and not just doing a normal MOS, man on street interview to something other than what is actually taking place, a proverbial sidebar, maybe something that doesn't go hand in hand with the promoters, may not make them look very astute or perhaps popular, but it needs to be reported if you're going to be part of the Lemmings, the pack mentality. Again, I will repeat, actual news, of course, but to the extent that this coverage is put out there, no, sorry. And even something as well, it's thrown about, well, this is going to bring, I've heard 70 million, I've heard 50 million, I've heard 150 million. The mayor, the guy that's in over his head, who is all over the place, he might as well be working with the concert promoter also, this Daniel Lurie. They got him all over the spot. him mentioning these numbers. Who the hell knows how much money this brings in to the city of San Francisco? I know probably brings a lot of money into the area near Golden Gate Park. But a lot of the people there who are attending this event are eating and drinking, not going to restaurants downtown, probably. They're probably just eating there. When you invest that kind of humanity and time and effort and all that, you tend to stay around the concert vicinity. That kind of, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But to throw these numbers out, 100 million, who the hell knows definitively? There's estimates, that kind of a thing. Well, there's no qualifiers, folks. They just throw these numbers out. Again, it's assisting in the pack mentality. Now, I'm not angry about this. I'm more annoyed and irritated that such a large amount of resources are devoted to something that should get obligatory coverage, that should be noted and acknowledge the fact that, yes, there is a massive concert, a 3-day concert taking place in Golden Gate Park. We're going to cover it and we're going to move on to other things and try to, God forbid, report on actual news, and not just this shit and weather. Oh my God, we have a heat wave. Oh my God, let's talk about the weather. And I love it. The marine layer, it's forbidden, folks, to say fog, especially at KCBS where they don't know news. So they use euphemisms. The marine layer can't say fog. And my favorite, it's not windy outside, folks. It's breezy. They use that word constantly. Breezy, but that's, again, another little sidebar. News is news. And the real McCoys have regrettably have vacated the Bay Area premises. We have Lemmings, amateur hour folks. The proverbial, we just got off the bus from Fresno and we're in the big bad Bay and we're going to be part of the pack mentality. We're going to report on things that are not really news. Well, after about the 17th and 20th time, no, it's no longer news. It's mass interference. I rest my case and let you realize once again why a good majority of people are fed up, are dissatisfied, and are out and out appalled at the news media because the news media, frankly, has fallen to a depth far below their own pay grade. It's positively disgusting. It's positively regrettable. It's positively pathetic. Again, am I surprised? Hell no. This is part of the new alignment, the new rules. And boy, oh boy, does it suck.